All right. Hey everyone, I'm Jesse Hart of Full Circle Phenomenal. Welcome to the Sacred Flow Art channel. Today we have a really special guest. She may be the first of her kind as far as we're aware. She is a doctor of the flow arts, Dr. Kate Riegle van West. Hi Kate, thank you for meeting with me.
Hi, thanks so much. Really nice to be here.
So, it's really wonderful to meet a doctor specializing in the flow arts, and perhaps, I'm not exactly sure, maybe you know, but your studies are kind of one of a kind, and surprisingly so. When I was getting into flow arts, I started noticing, I'm sure like you noticed, how well this was for my physical, mental, and emotional well-being. But yeah, there's nothing actually proving that except my own experience. I would like to get straight away to some questions that I feel our viewers and all the flow arts enthusiasts would be really excited in hearing about your perspective and your experience. This is a formal yet totally informal space as I can hold, so just feel free to answer these questions as ever you wish. First off, just wondering about your history. How did you come to going to New Zealand and becoming a doctor and studying flow arts or poi in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I had the exact same experience as you, which I'm sure many flow artists have had, is that you start working with a prop and you feel all the benefits and you just think, wow, like I can tell this is really good for my health. And probably same as you, I went online and was trying to find, any research to sort of substantiate that. I couldn't find anything, no kind of like, scientific, rigorous research. And I just started thinking about how many people could benefit from the flow arts if the door was open for it in places like hospitals or retirement villages or rehab centers. And I actually tried to bring it to those places when I was in America, and they were kind of like, what is this? Who are you? And where is the evidence? Because these are institutions that need evidence-based interventions. So that is exactly what led me to email the University of Auckland. I wanted to study poi in particular. Poi came from New Zealand, from the Maori people here, the indigenous people. And so I thought the first research should come from New Zealand, and I should be in New Zealand to learn from Maturanga Maori, the Maori knowledge and tikanga and protocol here, and to be able to embed that into my research. So I emailed the University of Auckland and just said, what I was thinking about. And they said, come on down. They didn't offer me any funding or anything, but they said, yeah, we'll hold a place for you if you want to join the PhD program.
Wow. And so you applied, I don't know, not exactly sure how to label, but was it your case study for your PhD program that was on poi?
Yeah, so I specifically studied the effects of poi on physical and cognitive function for healthy older adults. And I was working between the Center for Brain Research and the dance department.
Wow, that's so epic. And if you can, we have a blog series going on the Sacred Flow Art website that people can check out, as well as links to your full case study. But would you mind telling just in like a sentence or a few sentences, what was your discoveries? What was the conclusion of the study?
Yeah, of course. So the kind of statistically significant benefits that came out, it was a double-blind randomized controlled trial, were improvements in grip strength, so strength in your hands, improvement in balance. So I was working, these were healthy older adults who were standing up and, with poi, you're shifting, pivoting. I was having them doing, half turns and all that stuff. So balance. And then the third thing that came out was sustained attention. So the ability to sustain your attention over time. Anyone that's ever worked with any flow arts prop, I'm sure knows that feeling where you're just like totally sucked in. So those were the three things that came out as statistically significant. And of course, I was also doing qualitative research alongside that data, just asking people questions. And kind of the major trends were that people thought it was really fun. People found it relaxing, things like that, which also makes sense and are also really valid. I mean, in terms of therapeutic interventions, we need them to be fun, because if something's not fun, you don't want to do it. Yeah, so it's actually like really important that it's fun. No kidding. Yeah, the importance of play. And that's spurred you into creating your business, spinpoi.com, which is growing in its success now. You're able to work more easily, I'm sure, now that this is a
a proven fact that it's benefiting people. What has it led you into doing? Where are you working now?
Yeah, totally. I never really intended to run a business per se, but while I was doing my PhD, you know, things just kept coming in. People wanted me to do workshops or talks, and it just kind of evolved. And so now, yeah, Spin Poise, I spend most of my time kind of training the trainer, so to speak. So working with people who are often already in the field of health, maybe physios or recreational therapists, or working in a hospital, who might not know poi or flow arts at all, and showing them how to work with poi as a therapeutic tool in their practice. But I also work with flow artists and, you know, kind of across the board, doing talks and training, and I have a lot of resources for people who just want to get something started on their own. You know, that's kind of my vision, is just to, I kind of the evidence exists now, at least some of it. We can always use more. So that's opened some doors, and I'm just providing some resources and some services to kind of spread the word and support more people in working with flow arts to improve health and well-being.
Perfect. That's awesome. Do you see other people starting to specialize in flow art studies, or are you projecting that you'll see more into the future? What exactly is the presence of poi and other props growing in the health industry?
Absolutely. I get a lot of people reaching out to me saying, I had that idea as well, but I didn't know how to start or where to start. So it's, you know, it's great that you've opened the door, and they can kind of use what I've done to show that to their professor or their boss, or, you know, whoever they're trying to work with. So more and more people are starting to do that, especially like people in academia who are maybe, you know, needing to write some paper on something, like, you know, they never thought they could incorporate poi or flow arts into their work. So like that stuff's starting to happen. But then also people who might already be working in healthcare, aged care, who are also flow artists, are like, oh, I can actually bring this into my work, and now I can show this evidence, and that will kind of open that door. And I do have like an instructor certification program too. So now there's kind of certified spin poi instructors that are working across the globe.
Wow. Yeah, now it's just a matter of, can they play the flow art and jump through the hoops it takes to become, you know, an actual master or doctor at it. And so I guess that's another discipline in and of itself, which I totally applaud you for. You've done poi case studies for Parkinson's disease with great results. So do you have any future plans for more studies?
I'm not planning any more research at the moment, but it usually happens kind of organically, you know, like someone will approach me or something will come up. Research can be tricky. I'm usually doing it. I've never been paid to do any research, so often it's just like, do I have the capacity to like make this thing happen? It'd be amazing to get a grant, but that just never happened so far. So there's no specific plans, but I'm sure things will pop up and I will jump on it.
Sure. Yeah, and may this video or whatever else that we can do for you help expand that outreach and keep the ball rolling and that momentum growing. As a flow arts professional, what is your greatest challenge?
That's a good question. It's interesting because I don't like think of myself as a flow arts professional. I guess that's totally what I am. I just think like, oh, I'm running this business, and this business like happens to like do poi, but like I'm not out there like performing with poi anymore. I mean, I guess I could do, but I'm not up to.
Hey, maybe some of these folks are ready to join the circus with you. You never know. You know, don't count it out.
Yeah, maybe. I think some challenges. One is that like poi and flow arts are still kind of niche, and so when you're, you know, there's certain products and services like people know what they are. So when you're like approaching them, they're like, they can imagine it, they know what it is, they've heard of it. It's like great. But a lot of people that I'm approaching, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So that sometimes is a little bit of a challenging start to convince people in a way. And that's why I think I try extra hard, like to everything I do for it to be like ultra professional, because I think if anyone has heard of poi, they might have this association of like, oh yeah, I saw someone like doing fire at like a rave with their shirt off or something, which is like also totally cool. Like that's all part of it. But then I think that association sometimes is a struggle for people to connect how it can be used in like another context. So yeah, just like awareness of what it is and legitimizing it, you know, in this kind of health and well-being context, that's a little bit of a struggle.
Mm-hmm. And it's something we've been working with too, is here in Latin America where we're at, a lot of people associated as kind of street performing as, you know, not necessarily something that you do as a profession, like a legitimate profession, which we're having to train extra hard and do choreographed routines and circus acts and aerial arts, you know, alongside with it, that show clearly these people have invested a lot of time into this performance and got it down to a rhythm and to a beat to show that, yeah, this should be acknowledged into the mainstream as something to truly be reckoned with and legitimate. Where would you like to see your career as well as the career of other flow artists go?
In terms of other flow artists, I mean, I would just love for everyone to have the opportunity to make a living doing what they love and creating positive change in the world. I know it's a little bit of a slippery slope because sometimes when your passion becomes your work, then it becomes less your passion.
Story of my college life, yeah.
Yeah. But that's something that I'm really passionate about, is laying that groundwork for other people to be able to, you know, follow their passions and actually make a living on that. In terms of myself, it's a good question. I don't actually imagine doing spin poi like for the rest of my life. I'd like to get it to a place where it's more self-sustaining. There's more, like right now I'm the only full-time employee, so maybe get that to a different place, and then I have so many passions. I think people always think like of me as just like doing poi, like that's my thing, but like I really love playing music and doing all sorts of other things. So
I see the guitar there in the background. You play guitar then?
Oh yeah, it's back there.
And you sing as well?
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm diverting.
I used to play in like big brass bands when I was in America, playing like saxophone and trombone and percussion and flute and stuff. Okay, well, I haven't really answered the question because I don't know. But essentially, like, I think I'd like spin poi to always like exist in some form, and to be an organization that can support others. So I'd like to get it to that place, and then we'll see what I do with the rest of my life.
Cool, great. Do you spin fire, and do you think fire adds or subtracts to the health benefits of poi flow?
Okay, so like, I'm actually weirdly scared of spitting fire. Like, I would do it. I've done it. I remember when I first learned poi, that was like the thing. It's like you learn a few moves and then you light it on fire. And I took like years. I was like, I don't see any need for that bit. Like, I'm happy just doing the socks. So yeah, that's my relationship with fire. And I just really can't speak to the health benefit part. Just because, like, I have no idea. It's like an added element, and I'm sure there's all sorts of other added elements that would have effects, but
sure.
I honestly have no idea.
I ask that only because I have my own perspective and opinion of it, is that I think it's clear to most people how it had a negative benefit on your health, i.e. setting yourself on fire or breathing in the smoke or anything like that. But also the positive health benefits is when people spin fire for the first time and they have a good time, the energy, the sound, the feeling, the movement, the light is so invigorating on your own senses and others. It's like your spirit becomes live. And I'd be really interested to see what sort of studies might be done to the nervous system or something when someone actually lights up for the first time, for the 10th time, for the 100th time, to see what actually changes in the body when that is happening.
Yeah, so for my master's degree, my final project was called the Orbitar, and it was a poi musical instrument that generated sound and light. Well, actually sent data to a computer that could generate sound, because we know that sound and light are really powerful, therapeutic tools, and they do have an effect on you. And I was interested in all these very things without needing to have the danger of lighting myself on fire. And they're already used in therapy, like music therapy and all these things. So I think, being able to hear the rhythm, because poi is innately rhythmic, and see the trails and stuff like that, I think that's all like super important. And someday I would like to get back to that Orbitar project and develop that more as a tool for performance, but also in hospitals and things like that.
That's amazing. Wow, that's really cool. Do you spin any other props besides poi?
I dabble in everything. When I was living in Chicago, I had a flow art space. And so I like to teach the basics of, hoop and staff and juggling and whatever. So I kind of know how to do the basics on, like, a lot of different props.
I get that. And it takes a special, it's like, where is, like, you end up, it's like becomes an addiction, right? Where you start with one prop and then you're like, wow, that's awesome. I want more toys. I want more props. I want more things to do. But then like at a certain point, yeah, your learning curve does like plateaus or starts going down. So it's like, how many things can you juggle, so to speak? And final, just kind of a fun question. Do you have a favorite toy spinner out there?
Okay. I have to say, this is going to be really disappointing because no one knows who this person is, but my favorite poi spinner is the person that taught me poi. His name is Zach Stevens, and I was enthralled with what he was doing. I had never seen it before. This was like a long time ago. This was before like YouTube. I mean, maybe YouTube existed. I don't even know if it did. I'm kind of old. I don't know if people know how old I am. So this is like back in the day, and he was really good. And like there was no other really way to get like information, and so I was just enamored with him, and he taught me like everything that I know, and he still spins and we still chat, and I like him very much. So
cool.
Zach Stevens was my favorite poi spinner.
And where's he at? Where was that at?
He's in Rockford, Illinois at the moment.
Oh, right on. Cool. And where did you begin learning? In Chicago, was it?
Yeah, I began in my hometown, which is where I also went to undergrad, which is called Normal, Illinois. I grew up in a place called Normal. Yeah. And
it sounds like you're far from it.
Yeah, I'm so far from home. My gosh.
Literally and figuratively, not exactly the most normal life. Probably wasn't exactly what you expected growing up in Normal.
No, not quite. Although there was a circus in my hometown, so I mean, come on.
Oh, cool.
You're setting yourself
okay,
up.
all right.
Weird.
So it's not completely normal. There's probably a suburb of surreal. Well, thank you so much. It was really insightful and fun to speak with you and get a little bit more information on what you do and how things are going, and see if we can continue this momentum forward. Please do, if you're watching this and you've enjoyed this, give it a like, subscribe, share this with other people whom you like to, who would have a vested interest in this. And we really appreciate that, because the only way that we grow this into the mainstream is if we work together and keep pushing and showing that this is fun. It's great for the mind and the body and the emotional health, and getting more people, more of this world into that flow state, into that meditative, epic state that we all learn to love. Thank you so much, Kate. I really appreciate it. If there's anything else that you want to share with us, you have the board.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I guess just know that I'm available. So just whoever's out there, if you want to get in touch with me or you need support doing anything, just reach out. My website is spinpoi.com, and you can just find me. If you just look up Spinpoi, you'll find me all over the place. So I'm here.
Do you have any social media accounts as well?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon. I think there's like a Pinterest account that I never use.
Oh, nice.
I think that's it. I haven't quite like jumped the ship to TikTok. It feels like one social media too many, but
cool.
Maybe someday.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. Look her up. If you have any questions for her, leave a comment below and we'll get it to her, and maybe we'll do another one of these in the future. Thanks so much, Dr. Kate.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.